That's right, you're right here in Galaxy 107 FM, 21 after 10 o'clock, 24 degrees. Unfortunately, that was my prediction. It didn't last, it really didn't. Barbara's prediction, 25, she won again. Yep, and coming from behind too, by the way. Weatherman's prediction, 23 degrees, he didn't stand a chance either. Friday, April 16th, coming into a brand spanking new weekend, and thank you for everybody that's joining us this morning on Facebook Live. Absolutely elated, A, because I'm talking to a fellow Kiwi, and B, I'm talking to a saddle blaster, which is absolutely fantastic. Just played our Pony Angel, and, well, it got away on us, actually. We were nattering too much, like Kiwis do amongst each other. We really, really did. But I've got to welcome on board, of course, the man himself. We're talking about Dave Maybee from the band SaddleBlasters. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Grant. Lovely to be invited onto your show. Thank you.
It is an absolute pleasure, and unfortunately we started chatting a bit much. We almost completely missed the song, which is completely out of character for me. Ted Hossoff is joining us. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Happy birthday for the other day too, by the way, from the band Mad Symphony. Very, very cool. Dave, now, let's get down to the skinny of this, because I absolutely do love Our Puri Angel. Now, there's you, there's Neil Hershey, and of course John Grenell is in there as well. Now, Neil was the guy who wrote the song, wasn't he?
Correct, that's right.
Now, tell me the skinny behind this. What's the whole meaning behind the song? Because believe me, I absolutely love not only the track, but the video as well.
Okay. The skinny behind the composing of the song is that Neil, for some years, was one of the unofficial guardians of the wild horses up 90 Mile Beach, which is the Aupuri Forest. So that extends basically from Kaitaia right up to Cape Reinga. And in there's around anywhere from sort of 20 to 30 bands of horses. And they're all descended from basically from Arab stock. And supposedly from a shipwreck, it's supposed to be something to do with Samuel Marsden. And there were a half a dozen pure Arab horses in the shipwreck. They swam ashore, because horses are great swimmers. They swam ashore and basically took refuge up there in 90 Mile Beach. So the song is really written about them, and I went in there with Neil and our bass player, Reggie Valenti. We went in there just after the song had been written, just to actually see what it was actually like for them in their own environment. And you know, these animals are in pristine condition. You know, they've got this enormous forest in which they can live in, and aside from some of the locals, you know, who might go up for fishing on 9 Mile Beach, some of the forestry workers, or for other locals, you know, who go in there and occasionally might poach some horses. They live there pretty much by themselves, and pretty much unaffected by any human sort of interaction. So Neil, as one of the guardians of them, you know, he wrote the song about them, and it's really about, you know, run my beauties, you know, while you can, you know, before you basically fall foul of, Doc or somebody else.
Now, at the same time, these are not the Mustangs that everybody's been culling off over the last number of decades, is it?
Well, okay, historically, the Mustang horses, they arrived in the United States by Cortez. So you're looking about 1642. And so that's the pure Arab stock that became the wild horses, the Mustangs. In New Zealand, we've got about three or four bands of wild horses. We've got the ones up north, and the ones that most people hear about are the Kaimanawa ones. Kaimanawa, sorry. Sorry, just a minute. And those horses there, they are ex-cavalry stock. So, you know, they're on the Waiouru lands, the army firing range, and they are different. They're not Mustang. They're probably more related to Welsh ponies and cavalry horses, which are, you know, big-boned, slow-footed animals. And these are quite different from the Apuri ones. The Apuri ones are probably closest to Mustang stock than any other horse in New Zealand.
Yeah.
I mean, I may be wrong there about the genetics of it, but that's my understanding.
Well, okay, we'll hold you to that. Believe me, if somebody else tells me, I'm going to refer them to you, okay? In the meantime, I got to say a shout out as well to Paul Marshall from Do It Management and Do It Records. Believe me, he's done an absolutely fantastic job, especially promoting the SaddleBlasters. And
thank you, and thank you to Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. And believe me, Paul, we're going to be in touch with you very, very shortly. We have a few things in the pipeline, and hopefully, just hopefully, we might have a little bit of inside government knowledge as well for something that's coming up that you will definitely want to get your fingers into. You really will. Philly D is watching. Nice to have you on board, Philly. And believe me, it is a great day today talking to a New Zealand band called the SaddleBlasters. Now, tell me something, Dave. Right now, are you recording new stuff? Are you doing new music? Basically, what I'm saying is, will you release new stuff with us? Will you come back again?
Definitely. I've been Neil Hersey, the songwriter's producer, for the last, I don't know, since about the early 90s. And also sort of John's de facto producer since John came out of retirement, which was around about the same time, about 1990. So with Neil, for example, Neil has been our principal songwriter in all the material we've recorded with the SaddleBlasters. John does write and has written, but most of what he's written has already been recorded and released on previous albums. So what makes the SaddleBlasters project different is that a lot of these tracks are what I call orphans. So as a producer, you know, I'll get to work with various people for various situations. For example, one of the tracks on the album here is based on a poem that was written for disabled children, and by John Davies. I think there's a middle name there, I can't quite remember it. But John was given this poem by the New Zealand Association for Writing for the Disabled, because it's just transforms their lives to be able to sit on a horse, and whereas they can't walk, for most of the disabled. So the association approached John and asked him if he could actually record and make this poem into a song. So John came to me and said, look, he said, I've got these chords, I've got a bit of a melody, and so we put that down as essentially as a demo just for this association. So that was one there. The Apuri Angel started as part of some work I did for Radio New Zealand as a freelance radio producer, and my role was always producing music programs, or specifically music activities. So one of that song there was as part of a series of 3 programs called Wings of Horses. And it was about John singing songs primarily about horses. So that started out, the genesis for the song, though, as I've explained, was Neil in the Porty Forest. But John and I had been touring. We'd been doing a Northland tour of, clubs and concerts and everything. And this is around 1991. Anyhow, John was given this cassette. And John and I, on the way back from Kaitaia, and he said, there's just him and I in this van. He said, I've got this cassette tape here of 5 songs. Would you mind having a listen to it? So I said, of course. And, all of those 5 songs, which Our Porty Angel was one, I was really impressed with the depth of his songwriting talent. This is Neil Hersey. How he was able to really put a whole story together in one song so succinctly, so simply, so you could listen to it and go, this is a great song, and it was really simple. So from there on in, we started to invite Neil to sort of join us as a guest on some of these shows, and that's how the SaddleBlasters literally started. So A Porty Angel was I think it was the first song on the cassette that I actually heard. So going back further, later on, then we recorded this as part of the Radio New Zealand program. But we'd started doing this live, but it was in 2 different keys. But with John with such, his amazing voice that he has, I said to Neil one day, I said, look, we could put it back in the studio, get the master we did for Radio New Zealand. You could add some harmonies, I could add some harmonies, and I could do some extra guitar work on it. So that's exactly what we did. So once again, it was a song that was used for, it was a recording that, I produced for a particular program or an organisation, and it was never put on a record, a compilation or anything. So the SaddleBlasters, these 2 albums, as a double album, are all principally that. They're songs which haven't been used for any other project that we have the full rights to, that we own. And so when we approached Paul, Paul said, one of his first questions is, who owns the master? In other words, can we have control of what we do with it? And I said, of course, we own all, the rights 100%, the masters, everything. So that's really how the album started. And at the same time, as a real tribute to one of our greatest singers ever, John Grinnell. What can't I say about John? He's a legend.
Exactly. Now, I do have a fan question for you, Dave. How do we get hold of you as the SaddleBlasters? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? But more importantly, Dave, do you respond?
Of course we respond, sure. Paul Marshall is, he's Neil's own personal manager. So if you've got contacts with Do It Records, please, in any of your advertising, I know it seems like I'm asking you for free advertising, but through Paul Marshall, Do It Records, Do It Management, or just look me up. I can be, my number and email address can be found anywhere. My email is Maybee, spelled Maybee, @extra.co.nz.
There you go, and believe me, Dave, Paul's going to get a huge amount of emails now and texts, all that sort of stuff. And it's good for a free plug. I really don't mind that at all. In fact, I think it's quite warranted, to be honest with you. Dave, we are going to have to move on, but I would love to be able to talk to you again in the near future about new work. We'd love that. Really, really would. And please tell the wife in the background, no worries. 74 countries around the world right now, 119 cities are tuned in listening to this.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. Look, we've got the next single which is being released at the end of this month, and it's a duet between John and Neil, and honestly, it sounds like Welcome to Our World. except that it's a love song. I Won't Get Over You. That's a tearjerker. I mean, I loved working with that. We recorded John's vocals in Neil's lounge on his ranch. The rest of it was in a studio. I mean, we're Kiwis, right? We got to record anywhere we can.
Exactly. It's all about adapt, literally. Well, don't go anywhere just yet, Dave, but thank you so much for being part of today's show. Looking forward to catching up with you again in the future, and it's so nice to talk to a Kiwi. It really is.
Thank you.
You're right here at Galaxy 107 FM. Of course, we were with Dave Maybee from the band The SaddleBlasters, right here at Galaxy.
I know you're going to...
Run, my beauties, before me. Run with the wind while you can. No telling what fate will befall you. No telling what man has got planned. God sent me down here to find you. I'm here to do all that I can. So run, my beauties, before me. Run with the wind while you can. Way out in the forest, way out on the sand. Hide where the bullets won't find you, and I'll be there as soon as I can. My beauties before me. Use every trick that you can, 'cause I know you are running the gauntlet, one orchestrated by man. The cloak of time will surround you with a test of love in its hand, and I'll do my best to convince them just what you have done here for man. Way out in the forest, way out on the sand. I haven't got all of the answers, but I'll do everything that I can. Way out there on the sand. I haven't got all of the answers, but I'll do everything that I can. Way out in the forest, way out on the sand. Run, my beauties, before me. Run with the wind while you can. Run with the wind while you can.